we're going to go through some slides quick, do a demo, and then we'll open up for any questions. So without further ado, let me switch this to the slide screen, and that should have seamlessly switched. So, kind of what is QB Flow briefly, as this slide states. It automates your QuickBooks updates for you. A lot of managed service providers have found this very helpful. There we go. So keeps it service, keeps them current, compliant, and it's all silent. So, and then this is built by FlowDevs. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in there. I know quite a bit about QuickBooks and about automation around it. So what is the problem? So the problem is the update prompt in a multi-user session. And then this happens on local computers too. But when a user logs in and there's QuickBooks updates waiting, there's a box that pops up. And that box basically stops you from doing anything until you update the software. Well, in a multi-user environment or a very strict environment, your end users do not have administrative access. So they are unable to run through the updates. You have to click that or get an admin to log in, run the updates, and then reboot the machine. So kind of like this slide says, manual patching steals, from what we've found and our partners have found, about 30 to 60 minutes per server. And this compounds. So if you're running a server farm of 100 servers, probably won't take 100 hours. It's probably a little bit too far, but it would at least take you about 10 hours, I would say, to get through all that, because you'd have multiple screens up, and depending on how much you've done it, you can do that. So QB Flow completely solves that for you, and this is kind of the why. So the silent part of QuickBooks, there's zero disruption. It supports everything from 2022 and newer. We have had some other versions that we've tested it with, and if there's any issues that you see, we are happy to fix those. And the outcome are the servers are clean and they're all the same. In the 100 user environment I said, or 100 server environment, all the servers would then end up being on the same version of QuickBooks, which can cause issues with QuickBooks files. So what does it do? Step one is it scans. There's a file in the on the computer that has all of the licenses on it. So it uses that file to determine what versions of QuickBooks are being used. Then from there, it disables all of the updates, and then it patches them. Then it cleans up all of the files afterwards. So QuickBooks has this weird thing where if the files just exist on the computer, it causes them to want to update. And then it writes the events to a log file or wherever you want to. And we'll show that once we get to the automation part and once we do the how-to. So this is the kind of how long it takes and what it does. So why does it take 20 minutes for it to run? Well, first of all, it does the quick check. Then for each version, it goes through download and then it verifies. So what it does is it checks the major versions. Then it installs the minor versions. And then it finalizes everything up and then just does one more cleanup at the very end to make sure that those users won't get those pop-up messages. Now, how do you run QB Flow? So right now we have a specialized integration in Nerdio, which kind of looks like this, where you can select our QuickBooks automation, and in their case, they actually have an installer and uninstaller as well. So you just go into sorry, I always forget about this. It's shell apps to run the QuickBooks automated installer and automated uninstaller. It's a quick plug to Nerdio and kind of how this all started. So their multi-user farm and their enterprise solutions are great, but this is currently only supported in Nerdio with in their MSP tool, Nerdio for MSP. So scenario B, which most of our customers do run, is just through PowerShell. As you can see, as this shows us, the command line instruction is download the file. So there's a URL that we host this on, so you're always getting the latest. QB Flow. We built it to be fully portable, which means that you don't have to install it first before you run it, and then you just can run it with a command line option, customer ID. There are a bunch of different switches you can use that our customers have and clients have kind of come up with us to help us develop. One off the top of my head I can think of is QB Tools, I believe is what it's called. And QB Tools can either be installed or uninstalled. There's also one for desktop icons. So if your users don't want desktop icons, then those can be removed as well. So this is kind of where we talked about the delete desktop icons. So before, after, just if you like keep your servers without the QuickBooks icon on it, and kind of the advanced and verbose logging that we do support. So let's just talk about, I think this is a really good slide because it really explains in a straightforward way how you can, we recommend, and most, I would say, companies would recommend running gold images. So when you run QB Flow, you can run it on your session host here in the middle, where my mouse is. Okay, you can run it on your session host, or you can run it on your gold image. So you will end up saving money if you run it on your gold image because you're only running it on one server. But not everybody has a really well built out full automation from gold image to session host deployment. So that's why we support it in both. If you're not redeploying often, we would just recommend you run it on nightly on your session host. If you're running it often, you can just run it as a part of your patch schedule on your gold image. You can also run it as boot triggers, but that's if you're doing some, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're scaling your hosts up and building them at runtime, so before your users log in, you can also run it then. And that's helpful if there's a QuickBooks patch that came out. Because with QuickBooks, if user logs in and even looks at QuickBooks and there's a patch available, what it does is it starts downloading it in the background. So if QB Flow hasn't run on that host, it will just start doing that. So handling real world constraints. So what if a user does log in? I actually tested this today. So QB Flow doesn't force close QuickBooks, but it does come up with some pop-ups as you're running it. So I would recommend we recommend that you do run it at night still, or tell your users, hey, we're going to run this update. And it's possible that QuickBooks could close. I believe it's only if there's a major version that's available, and there wasn't one when I tested this morning. So, but we still recommend telling people to run it either after hours or letting your users know. And then what versions are supported? So right now we support 22 and higher. Older versions, 2021 and below, are not currently supported. The thing about that, though, is it does disable the updates on those, which those don't have updates anyways. So it actually does help on those because it won't ask the users to install the update. If somebody does go in there and click the buttons, QuickBooks will keep installing updates, which is a fun little quirk, as you've probably all been involved with. So the real world impact. So what does this really do? It eliminates the who's on what version support tickets. So if you have a lot of sprawl between your session hosts, it also removes the need for logging into the servers. In this case, it says VPN to manually run those patches. And it also standardizes all of your session hosts. Whether you're running a gold image or you're running multiple session hosts, it will apply that same configuration, that known good state for QuickBooks across all of them. So you don't have one or two hosts that you're fighting with. Sometimes it works on my computer, but not this computer. Bugs are the hardest to solve and really find. So it's built by MSPs for MSPs. So what this means is, Caleb and I have about 20 years of MSP experience between the two of us. And we've really focused on automating these tasks, whether it's through PowerShell, in this case, .NET. But we really transformed this application specifically to solve the problems that we were running into, back then. And now that we are doing FlowDevs, where we build software for small businesses. We also build tools like this for MSPs and build custom scripts as well. We really do love solving problems that save IT professionals time, which is, kind of just going over, we're still here, we're growing, we're ready to take on more clients. And, if there's any issues you run into, we're not going anywhere. Now, I like just to talk about kind of what I was just saying, how we're not going anywhere. So the feedback loop. So if there's any, switches, like I was saying, you just can email us at clientsupport@flowdevs.io. And to continued support, we're still going to be here. So we believe in evolutionary operations where our tools will evolve over time. And this is just kind of an example that if you run into a bug or anything like that, we will fix it no matter what. We're not here to take, just take your money and run away like some companies. We do actually want to, continue supporting this application for as long as MSPs need it. And that really helps us get there. I did want to mention, so one of the more recent bugs we fixed was when Intuit uninstalls, it actually leaves remnants in the registry. So we fixed a bug from Intuit with our software, so it makes it easier to run, and we're always happy to just help with your Intuit installations as well. So anything you need, just let us know. You can follow us. So we just started doing Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We've been on LinkedIn for a while, but any of the socials, you can find us. We don't have a newsletter yet, but we have been getting more subscribers on our blog post. So at some point here in the near future, we are going to send out a newsletter or just try to get more involved with the community. And then also we're going to do monthly LinkedIn Lives. This is something we're starting for 2026. I'm going to speak it into existence, but next month we're going to we are going to talk about some of the websites we've built with Webflow and really how just some simple buttons can really transform a business. I think it's really cool, and I was really excited for that when Zach was doing a product demo there. So how do you get a hold of us? So you can download it like I talked about. You can get it in Nerdio or get the standalone executable. You can always talk to us about any workflow automation you have, any custom software you need, any website design. We build integrated systems here, and then if you have any questions, we do respond to the client support email quite often. Or last plug is our booking at FlowDevs.io. So it looks like this took about 15 minutes, which is great. Now let's get into the VM here. Boom. Okay. So now we'll hop into the live demo. I'm going to move this around really quickly. There we go. Okay. So this is what the welcome email looks like. I'm just going to search QBflow. This is a cloud PC, so we'll see how fast it goes. We're kind of at Microsoft's will here. There we go. So let's just go through kind of some of the what I was talking about. So on our webpage, we have all the information, how to run it, some specific examples here. And then we have some thank you for all the people who went through and helped us with these. So these are some of our partners here. We just sent out a form that went over everybody who kind of uses our software. I'm going to remove this, see if we can't get that to go away. Cool. And yeah, so I'll just go through and subscribe. It talks about the pricing here. So we do a graduated pricing tier. So the first 50 endpoints are always going to be $5 an endpoint. The next 100, so from 50 to 150, they're $4 an endpoint. From 150 to 450, they're $2, and then the next ones are $1 per. So the more you use, the more you save. When you go through here, you can subscribe. I'm going to subscribe here. We can just see how long it takes. 2-6. I am a human. Oh no. Select items worth more money than what's shown. A boat. Wow, this is a interesting CAPTCHA. Okay, I guess we're human. That's good. So this will kick off an email here. All using Power Automate, kind of cool. I have one right here. So we will let this is what the email will look like. It takes about 5 minutes or so for the email to come through, so I don't want to wait for that. What I'm going to do is we'll take this, and this is the script that you would put into your RMM. It does include your customer ID now. So this customer ID is old, so this one won't work. I'm going to move my face a little bit. So we're going to need this box. There we go. So let's open up, I'm just going to open up PowerShell, your terminal as admin. I'm going to copy this out. We can wait a second to see if it comes through too. Otherwise, I do have a customer ID on standby. So this is going to fail because it's got the wrong customer ID. So hold on. There we go. Need that. Let's change our customer ID. So in the email you get, you won't have to do this. So sorry. I'm just impatient and don't want to wait for that email to come through. If there's any questions too, feel free to put them in the chat and I'd love to get to them. So let's run this again. Now it'll take longer. So what's going to happen here? We can see it created this log file. Let's open that log file. It just talks briefly about what's happening. So like I was saying, it reviews the XML file here. This is the path that all your QuickBooks registration is in. Kind of interesting to know about. If you're running this in Backstage, this pop-up, like if you're running it through your RMM, this won't actually pop up. I don't know why my mouse is being weird. I want to show you guys this file though. Or I can't actually. That'll show QuickBooks registration keys. So I can't do that because this is our QuickBooks. So this is where it says we're skipping this because it's not installed. This was that recent registry key that we found and fixed. And yeah, this will just kind of run through here. So there's not really any questions. I think that's all I have to show. Cool. Doesn't look like we have any questions. So we can wait a little bit here and let this run. I can show some of our other projects too. The goal is to just have this run for 30 minutes. So let's quickly talk about QB Flow and what we're doing here at FlowDevs. So now it's doing the minor updates. I can talk about what we're going to do next week quick, which should maybe take up 4 minutes, and we can end 5 minutes early, give everyone a little bit of time back. Click on our services. So this is actually a cool project. Let's look at this one. So this was an app we built, Farmers to Florists, showcasing what we do. So if we go to log in here, this will bring us to the web app. Kind of an interesting marketplace idea. This is one of the sites we had just recently built. There's a full back end on this one too. Next week or next month, I want to talk about, the goal is to have Caleb and Mustafa talk about SubKO, which is an awesome site in Lisle, I believe is what it is, Lisle, Illinois. And what we did here is this is a Webflow site with collections. One of the cool things about this site I like to talk about is the catering button. This brought in about $2,000 in the first month of their opening just by having a simple form to fill out. And one last thing is we also do graphic design. I forgot to mention that. You can kind of see here the background and the colors. This was all done by one of our graphic designers. So kind of cool. And this just opens up to Toast. Let's see if our script finished. It did. So we'll reload this one more time. And you can see that it finished. Cleans up the updates one last time. And then, yeah. And then the last product on here is QB Flow. But we're working on more products. So this will definitely fill out over time. Again, this was Justin, and I'm from FlowDevs. So thanks everybody for joining today. It's really all we have. If you have any questions, the best way to reach out to us is client support@flowdevs.io. Thanks. Have a wonderful Tuesday, guys. Bye.